Yeah, well, first of all, why I propose such a ceasefire is that, if we look at the past few months, since the Sheraton move and the fall of Pakatan Harapan government, and subsequently with the MCO, I think we have gone through a period of political instability. And I think that, generally speaking, the people on the ground are quite fed up to look at the instability. And there is a sense of political stalemate in the country that it's very hard for things to move together in the right direction, in a way that we should be uniting politically to face the current challenges. Because of the stalemate and the small numbers of differences in parliament, and you will have a lot of horse trading going on both sides of the political divide. Of course, to be fair, on our side, we tried to regain the government. I think various initiative and attempt to try to regain our government, but I think we have not seen the result that we are hoping for. Of course, by regaining the government, you need crossover as well from the current MPs who are supporting Perikatan Nasional to support Pakatan Harapan. Then there is a chance of regaining the PH government or the PH++ government. But I think if we continue that political posturing, it will end up that there will be instability in the sense that we have to try to give a message that in Parliament, we are trying to pull down the government. But I think up to now, the position is very clear. I think there are at least 2 attempts in Parliament to call for political division, but I think the result is quite consistent in a sense that on 13th of July, when there was an election of speaker, Perikatan Nasional got 111 versus on our side 109, and subsequently in yesterday's voting, again they received 111 votes to pass the bill, the finance bill, on our side 106. So it shows that the position of both sides are almost certain and consistent. So for Muhyiddin and for Perikatan Nasional, despite all their attempt to get more MPs to support them, they have not been able to get more MPs to support them. So we just 113 MPs on their side. So their position, of course, is quite weak.
Okay.
And there are a lot of pressure within Perikatan Nasional, especially from UMNO, for Muhyiddin to dissolve Parliament.
Okay.
So my point of view is that the Prime Minister has another option of not dissolving Parliament. Of course, dissolving Parliament is one way out to give back the mandate to the people and to choose a new government. But we are facing an unprecedented situation right now with COVID-19, with economic challenges. And we think that the Prime Minister has another option of not dissolving Parliament, but to stabilize the current political situation. That is, in a way that there is some collaboration and cooperation between the government and the opposition. But we are not suggesting that we go for unity government. What I was proposing is that there is some sort of collaboration with a consensus or an agreement between the opposition and the government that the current government can continue to rule for the time being.
And they don't have to rush back every time there's a voting.
Yes, they probably think we can have an agreement that, okay, we will not call for division, for example.
But before we move on, does that mean that you are forgiving or forgetting the Harapan move?
No, we are not. We are not saying that we are forgetting and forgiving that.
Okay.
But the fact is that Muhyiddin has been sworn in as Prime Minister.
Okay.
So whether we like it or not, he is the current Prime Minister of the country.
Okay.
But of course, there must be some condition that the opposition must be prepared to work on certain parameters. Such as, for example, there must be some consultation from the government on parliamentary agenda, and that the government MPs, the opposition MPs can play a more meaningful role of providing check and balance to the government through participation of select committee, for example. So, providing a platform for opposition MPs to play a meaningful role of providing check and balance to the government. That is one. Secondly, of course, importantly, is that there must be access to government treatment in terms of constituency allocation. This is a long-standing issue since the Barisan Nasional days.
Are you asking for equal
Yes.
allocation instead of the amounts that proportion set by Tun Mahathir previously?
Of course, it has to be. If let's say a consensus or an agreement can be reached, that all constituencies should be accorded the same treatment.
Okay.
So in a way that there is no differences in terms of government and opposition constituencies.
So the invite or the initiative must come from PM alone.
Of course, the Prime Minister the Prime Minister have to agree on this.
Okay. From DAP side, has it been discussed? You say that this is your personal opinion, proposal. Has this been brought to the attention of the Central Committee?
Well, I have discussed this idea with the top leaders,
Okay.
and of course we have not
Formally
come
or informally?
informally. We have not have a formal discussion on this. But as I said, this is an opinion. I mean, my personal opinion as an MP, that I hope that it can open up a discussion, a discourse on this topic, and to work out the possibility. If the Prime Minister is willing to discuss and willing to to have this discussion, I'm sure the party leadership are prepared to discuss it formally
Okay.
and to adopt a position.
Have you also spoke with your allies in Pakatan Harapan to see whether they are willing to accept it before it is formally?
Well, I think in a way right now we are in a stalemate.
Okay.
Okay, the country is facing a political stalemate in that sense. Well, of course, I think we are free to give our opinion. At the end of the day, I think if there is a consensus, I think everyone should come together
Okay.
and to discuss and to consider about it. I'm not saying that everyone will agree immediately, but at least discuss the terms and conditions and what are the parameters.
When are you going to formally propose it in the next PH meeting?
Well, of course, I mean, as I said again, it has to come from the Prime Minister first.
Okay.
If the Prime Minister is not willing to consider, not willing to discuss, there is no point of PH adopting such a position. So if the Prime Minister is willing to consider and willing to adopt this position, he should convene a meeting, to call for a meeting of all parties represented in Parliament.